Okay, let's see how we're doing the audio. I think we're okay. Check that out. AirPods, very good. Okay, do another round of tensile testing, this time using PET. So here's a look at the polymaker, and this is PET with carbon fiber. It is not PETG. So the difference being this does not have the same glycol additives that like this PETG does. And this also does have carbon fiber in it. So PET is a little bit harder to print. PETG has the glycol that uh, just makes it easier to print because it gives you like a wider thermal window to work with. So you don't have to have the printer like super well dialed in. This has to print at a fair bit hotter temperatures, and it's also very sensitive uh, to like the specifics of that temperature. So we have five test parts that are printed in the same plane that the perimeters are going in. And then we have five test parts that are going in the Z axis. And so this should be the best case scenario for strength, and this should be the worst case. So I'm hoping that this camera, which is going to be in my way the entire time, is going to give you a decent view of what's going on. And so what I'm going to do, crank the jack. It's going to pull these jaws apart. These jaws are a PA6 nylon, and about the strongest stuff I've tested so far. And we've got a load cell here that is going into my load cell amplifier. Um, this is running software that's going to convert the forces from here to newtons. And then the software that's running on the laptop is going to be logging that and measuring the maximum force that it sees. And it will automatically reset each time. Okay, so PETCF, Polymaker, black, XY. Oh, yes. Before I do this sample, I wanted to show you what it looks like if you don't dry PET. So I thought I had dried this enough, and clearly I did not. So this is a stringy mess. And so I wanted to do one round with the stringy mess, and then one round after that with properly dried. So this is sitting in dry box at 75C for I think 4 hours, something like that. So we'll see if we see a substantial difference between the stuff that hasn't been dried versus the stuff that I did dry better. Okay, so we're going to set that one out of the way, and we're going to take the stringy ones first. All right, off we go. Let's see how this. Oops. Actually, start the software first. Oh, come on, seriously. Okay. Sorry, one sec. This has been a little bit of a pain in the butt because the serial port keeps getting a different ID every time I plug it in. Okay, so this is giving me a live view of um, the readings coming from that amplifier. And I will probably mess up this camera as I'm cranking on this, but we'll just see how it goes. Okay, so it's measuring. All right, about 1400 newtons. Down. Sorry, this is not dropping down. I'm just having every possible problem. Okay, keep going on trial two. Once things are running, should go pretty quick. About 1300. $1,400. And the app will print a log of all the readings. Okay, last of the three XY pieces. Trial five. Let's see where we're at. All right, about 58 megapascal. All right, and pretty consistent. That is fine. So now I'm going to set up for the Z test. Okay, super stringy Z axis. Oh boy, I'm not even sure this is going to fit in the jaws. So gnarly. All right, well, we'll just give it a try. That took absolutely nothing to break. And now it's going to be impossible. Get out. Now let's do one. I'm not sure if I'll do all five or not. Okay, that was substantially higher. I think we're going to have a pretty wide spread on the readings here. Takes almost no force on the Z-axis test, at least for this one. Pretty much just letting the jack handle do the work. 600 there. All right, let's see where we're at. Okay, 300 to what, 700. All right, well, let's see how that looks in comparison to the dry. Okay, so the dry step will be the final number that goes into the database. Okay, XY, polymaker, PETCF, off the races. That was about the same, 1400 or so. Okay, we are at 59 megapascal. That is awfully close. I think it was 58 previously. All right, Z-axis test. Hopefully this will be better. This is feeling an awful lot like the last test with the stringy ones. So maybe filament being stringy just does not matter. That is a lot of why I'm doing this, just to find out what really does matter when it comes to making a strong part. Okay, let's look at the data. Okay, 12.3 megapascal. Our previous Z run was 11.15. Okay, so, you know, less than 10%. And this was 59. So the XY was 59.8 versus 58.3. Honestly, I was expecting a little bit bigger difference. Okay, next up, we have Psoriatic PETCF. So I probably should have showed you this for comparison before I broke all the polymaker parts. This is a little bit rougher surface finish. Definitely has some more texture to it. So this is the black that has the carbon fiber in it. And after this, I'll show you the one that has a glass fiber in it. Okay, so right. Okay, so XY axis, Psoriatic PETCF black. Okay, off the races. Okay, that was north of 2,000 newtons. So really good. The polymaker was about 1,500, so substantial boost. Ooh, and I can definitely feel it in the jack. It's taking a bit more force. All right, 2,100 newtons, you know, about 210 kilogram. Yeah, this is some good stuff. Not quite as nice in terms of the surface finish, but wow, was this strong. Now, all the data is going to be on my GitHub page. I will link it with this video. Yeah, that one's makes me put in some work. All right, where are we going to be? 86.7. That's good. I'm not sure if that's the strongest I've measured yet, but it's certainly in the ballpark. Polymaker EA6 is, I think, still the strongest, but this is darn close. Okay, Z-axis. Let's see how this goes. Now, note on the Z-axis, the cross section of the test part is a fair bit higher, so you can't just compare newtons to newtons because this is at a 50 square millimeter cross section, where the XY is at a 25. and I'm using a large cross section just to try to, uh, well, yeah, trying to give it a larger surface for a more valid test. And the reason I am not doing the same for the XY is because then we're getting up into forces where, if you take 5,000 newtons of force, that's some pretty high velocity plastic flying out of a fixture when it breaks. Anyhow, I might have to move up to a larger cross section now. Okay. 15 megapascal, 15.2. The polymaker on the z-axis was 12.3. All right, so definitely stronger and by about the same margin. Let's get some of the wreckage out of here. I've been running these tests for a while. So got quite a box going. And that's not even all of it. Okay, last one for this test run. It's going to be PET with glass fiber. This is also Soraya Tech. This color is flat dark earth. It's a pretty good FDE. It's maybe about the same shade as like a Magpul FDE. Now, the my one concern on this one is that I have printed one of my prior jaws in this filament, and you'll see it broke down here, and it broke through there. And so I was expecting this to be a lot stronger and not to break like across the perimeters as it did. So I'm very curious to see how this guy does on the tester. Let's get the test set up. XY, Sarai Tech, FDE, flat dark earth. And this is PET glass fiber. Here we go. This will be our last material for this run. There are not that many companies that are making PET. It's mostly PETG. 'That was about 1,700. It's not bad. Yeah, 1,755. Got about the same. This one's making me work for it too. I do some nylon tests for you. That'll be fun. Those nylons get really strong too. Uh, okay, I'm just looking at how some of these guys are breaking. For example, this one, instead of breaking at the middle part of the dog bone, broke up at the top. And I don't know if that was because of like a torsion force or if it just had a weak spot. But that's a little fishy. Okay, 70.5 megapascal. Great. And let's do the Z. Okay, good to go. Last five. And that one was close to 1,000. Yeah, tell me here in just a sec. Oh yeah, yeah, just over 1,000. That's feeling pretty good. Same on that one. Boy, if you need a filament that is strong and stiff, this is going to be hard to beat. That was in the 700s. Okay, I'll print the data here as soon as finishes. Okay, 18.4 megapascal. That is the best of the Z-axis test that we had. Okay, I think that's it. Um, Last thing on this fixture is all of these, all the files for example, the jaws, the test parts, um, the code that I'm running, both on this little Pico and on the laptop. It's all open source. It's on GitHub. So I will put the link in the description. Thanks, guys.